So for the last few weeks, I've collected a variety of older PC parts to make a few gaming PCs out of. I bought some from family members who didn't need them anymore. I got a bunch of stuff off Facebook Marketplace. I got some stuff from some coworkers. We have a Ryzen 5500, a 5600X, and a Ryzen 3 3300X. I found a RTX 2070 and two different 3060 Ti's. I didn't really expect that to happen. One of them's a tiny little PNY version, and then we've got the big boy Asus ROG Strix. So I've been swapping processors around, swapping video cards around, getting different benchmarks so we can see how stuff runs here in 2026 on this older hardware. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how cheap you can build a gaming PC today. The first one I'm going to show you today, I ended up putting the Ryzen 3 3300X and the 2070 together just as the cheap build. We can go over what I spent on all those parts. I don't actually have the machine with me anymore because I had to sell it to buy parts to make another computer to get more benchmarks. Because this is not my day job. But I did get a bunch of footage. I got a bunch of benchmarks, so we'll put all that stuff together and see what we can come up with. I think you're going to like this Ryzen 3 3300X. It pleasantly surprised me. It kind of kicks butt. I figured we ought to start by talking about what I paid for each of these components. So for the CPU, like I said before, we got a Ryzen 3 3300X. This was the only part I wasn't able to source locally. I had to go online to find this. Funny story is actually planning to use a Ryzen 5 1600 for this build just because I had it in the closet from an older upgrade from a PC I built in 2018. Anyway, I had the thing done and put together and went to update Windows, and I got a nasty error message saying, no, you cannot use this CPU with Windows 11. You don't get updates. So then I had to go find something else. Apparently you need a 3000 series AMD CPU in order to get Windows 11 to cooperate. So that's where we got that. That was $50. I kind of thought I overpaid a little, but I was in a pinch. I needed a CPU, but you'll see when we're running the games that, I don't know, I think that's a pretty good deal for $50. It performs great. The motherboard, it's an ASRock B450. I paid $25 for that off of Facebook Marketplace. Probably worth $45 or $50, but it was missing the IO shield, so I got a deal on it because it was missing the IO shield. Able to 3D print that for a few pennies, painted it up, and we're good to go. The SSD, I just went with a SATA 960 gigabyte drive. I found a guy selling a pile of them, and I talked him into 4 of them for $100. So $25 for the storage drive. The GPU, another Facebook Marketplace find. That is a Gigabyte RTX 2070. I paid $125 for that. Felt pretty good about that price. The RAM, I have 16 gigs of DDR4 3000. That was in a combo I got from my brother. He upgraded, and so I bought his motherboard, RAM, and CPU for $100. So that RAM was, we'll call it 33 since it's a third of the thing. Normally you'd probably have to spend about $50 to get that on Marketplace unless you can get a combo deal, which you can save money buying multiple things at once sometimes. Power supply, that was $25. It was 600 watt, another used part I got locally. And then the case, this one I actually had a case in the closet, but it was kind of old and beat up. I was not very nice to it, but it works. We're trying to make a cheap computer, so we're going to build in it. And I didn't know how to price that since it was a case I had laying around. I did some looking. I did buy one case off Marketplace for $25, so I just figured I'll value it at $25. And the 3 used fans in there, we'll give them $5 a piece because they are 5 years old. They can't be worth a whole lot, which brings us to a total of $323. I did throw a vertical GPU mount in there just because I had that on the shelf from a really old build. It kind of sucks because it restricts your speed down to PCIe 3.0, but with the 2070 that's just fine, and you don't need it for this computer to work, so I'm not counting that in the cost. how about we see what this thing looks like once it's all thrown together and try out some games. This Gigabyte 2070 is actually one of the coolest looking video cards I think I've ever seen. I really like the effect of the little LEDs on the edges of the fan blades. Now the fans are just set to their default disco mode. That's probably some people's jam. I'm more of a solid color guy myself, but yeah, this is how the thing turned out. This is what it looks like. Let's try some games. When it comes to gaming benchmarks, I'm not big on numbers. I don't need to see a specific number of FPS to say whether a game is playable or not. In my opinion, all you really need is 60. Anything above 60 is butter. 60 FPS gaming is all you really need. So I'm more looking at, is this game running smoothly? I don't need to know that it has 120, 150, 200 FPS, 90, whatever it is. Is this smoothly? Does it look good? It'll be fun to play. And that's my philosophy on this kind of thing. So let's keep that in mind as we're looking at these videos of the benchmarks. I think you'll find that all of these games look and run pretty darn good with this old 3300X and RTX 2070. And because I'm trying to keep things easy and simple, I'm just going in here and turning on the high preset. Sure, you could tweak individual settings to your heart's content. There's so many graphic settings. I love fiddling with that stuff myself, but if we're just trying to make it easy to get into PC gaming, presets, low, medium, high, ultra, whatever, easiest way to go. So I'm just going to set these games on the high preset, and we're going to see how they look. And I think the last item for Nate's little soapbox chat here is going to be all this footage is in 1080p. I think when you're sitting 2 feet from your screen, 1080p monitors, even at 27 inches, look fantastic. If you're going 1440p, 4K, you're just making your computer work harder. 1080p gaming looks great. You should learn how to be a PC snob. Don't go through the gate feeling like you need more than 1080p. If you're just starting out, 1080p looks fantastic. Okay, let's check the results. In Returnal, one of my absolute favorite games from the last few years, we managed to pull in 83 FPS on this old hardware combo. Nice. Forza Horizon 5 achieved over 100. I mean, 1 is more than 100. And they even recommend we up the graphics preset to Ultra, so I will call that a win for sure with this combination. Cyberpunk 2077 almost broke triple digits for the average FPS, which that's pretty awesome. This game's getting older, but it's still beautiful. Doom: The Dark Ages, that game is less than a year old, and we still managed almost 70 FPS on this one. For being kind of an esportsy title, I was surprised how hard Marvel Rivals works these systems. Like, we only got 73 FPS on this one, but that's still perfectly playable if you ask me. And here with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I'm going to catch myself in a little bit of a lie. I said all the games will run at the high preset. Given this game's age, I went ahead and maxed out the graphics settings. So this is as high as they go. They call it highest, and we still pulled in a 114 FPS average. I mean, you saw the video. It looked great. So there you have it. That is my well under $400 gaming PC in 2026. I'm super impressed with it. I hope my work buddy I sold it to loves it. I think it kicks a lot of butt for the money that was actually spent on it. I didn't take any footage of how to build a PC. I'm assuming there are enough great videos. I'm not assuming. I know there are enough great videos on YouTube already on how to build a PC, but if that's something I should make, let me know in the comments and I will certainly do it. I've got more parts on the way so that I can keep making these videos. Here's hoping somebody's watching. But yeah, this is my first real video on this new channel, so if this is the kind of content you like, please hit me with that subscribe. It's the only language YouTube speaks. They don't care about you unless you have subscribers. So I will see you all on the next one. I've got a few more builds done. I've got some parts on the way, so there should be some more content like this coming soon. And who knows, maybe we'll experiment with some retro handhelds or painting Warhammer miniatures. Yeah, that's right. I'm a huge nerd.